I've made my decision. The winner of RuPaul's Drag Race is
Glenn Close but no cigar. Glenn Close, no cigar. Glenn Close but no cigar.
Oh, Jesus. Gross.
All right, well, that's our show, everybody.
Yeah, I actually don't think we need to do the rest of it. I think we've established everything that is good and important.
What's really great, the best thing about that intro is that that's just one of two versions that I was able to get out of Glenn Close but no cigar. So I'm looking to mix it up every week. If our audience has suggestions that they would like to see of one-liners, absolutely, because that's all we are here, is memes and jokes.
Well, we're also X's for Show, your favorite response show. And of course, it's a Sunday. We're talking some big old Drag Race premiere. I'm Nico Action. You can check me out all over the interwebs at NICOACTION.
And I'm TK. You can find me at TK Elemental.
I'm your producer, Kevo Really, KEVOREALLY, and
I'm Jonah. You can follow me over at places with Peak Jonah. That's PEAK.
Now, we are here to talk not just about the second part of the U.S. premiere of Drag Race Season 16, So Sweet It Is, but we're also going to be taking a look at the finale of Canada, Season 4, Canada 4, UK 5, right? Okay.
yeah.
We are also currently running an orchestral arrangement of the best of Nelly Furtado's singles from Loose, because Nelly Furtado was the guest judge. And we're going to get really into it, but nothing made me happier than Nelly Furtado literally immediately being like, no, sing it more like me. That was like the most Evita thing I've ever seen. It was everything I've ever needed. Oh my God, so good.
And I mean, to keep up with the Evita metaphor, she like cried with all of them.
Yes, yes. Oh my God. Yes.
She is an unhinged treasure.
She is one of my absolute favorites of all time, and I'm such a big fan, and I could not be more excited. So I am very eager to get into this episode, because this was the second half of the premiere, and I am all sorts of voluptuous about this season already, because the talent level is incredible. But this week felt very produced. Last week felt very natural. I love me a filler queen, but I felt this was not the right, like, I guess they didn't want the same thing 2 weeks in a row, but I got two very different. I got Disney last week and I got Shrek this week.
So I sort of wonder if you would feel that way if we just reversed them.
I'd probably still think the other group was nicer.
That the first group was nicer?
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, there are ways in which that is definitely the case. But what I have noticed is it seems like this season is much more produced.
Yeah.
And that there are things that they're really going for. This was something we talked about last episode. I think it's something that's going to come up a lot. These queens are a pretty united front on social media, and they talk about the show a lot. And they're very supportive of each other, and they are very much like, even, Morphine took a big hit last week for being really shady, and some of the queens she was the most shadiest to, like Dawn, got online and were fully like, if you're not going to be nice to Morphine, unfollow me, don't talk to me. They have been so loving towards each other, which I think is awesome.
Good.
I think it's exactly the right move. But two things. One, the girls have not been on social media this much from their announcement into the season starting. And two, Untucked, something we've talked about in the past, is like, Untucked is not like the documentary verite style, like they just put one camera up and we see whatever is happening. Untucked is a fully produced show as well. And this season, already in these first two episodes, for both sets of girls, they are doing a much more uplifting Untucked. And even if there are little shady moments, the aftermath of like when Saphira says your personality is so much better than your drag, the immediate reaction is Amanda going like, I knew that she was just being really nice to me. And like, there's nobody screams at each other and goes, well, your feet are fucking ugly.
I was almost like that. Wait, no, I'm sorry. That moment's with Plasma. Plasma's great about it. And then I remember, no, Plasma's problem is as much as I think she is a top tier queen. On All Stars versus the World, I'm going to go see your show. Mama, learn to shut the fuck up. Oh my God. As somebody who can't stop filling silence, Mama, shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
And she had a moment too where she was like, I actually agree with Michelle. I didn't do that great. And it's just like everybody is so even keeled, even on Untucked, that for me, it's the whole season that is feeling produced. And I didn't really notice it for one group over the other.
Jonah, talk to me. What is your level of production here? Is this, more authentic to you? Do you feel a difference from the last couple of seasons? I was lucky enough to have you guys give me such a beautiful education. And while we didn't do all of it in chronological order, I've seen, the core seasons that have aired since 5 all the way through now for literally every English speaking edition of the show. And 15 is literally one of the greatest introductions to any season ever. This does feel a little different to me. How do you feel as somebody who didn't get that whole download in 1 year?
Yes, and I think because 15 started with this momentous moment, if you will, that the opening
Face. Yes.
The face-to-face. The beginning of season 15, even all the way to the end, was this entertaining season that I don't think we're going to see for a very long time. Like, it was the right cast of girls with the right amount of chemistry, with the right challenges to showcase the certain talents that they wanted to. Nobody felt miscast on that season. Everybody kind of filled a specific kind of purpose, and I think it all came together to this like beautiful conglomeration of Sasha Colby winning. And even though we everybody kind of like could feel the waters and test out and be like, I think Sasha's gonna win this, it was really a really amazing season to kind of start with. But part of this problem, I think, going back to the split premiere, is the premieres aren't always going to be that even. Season 12, the I'm That Bitch girls were much better than You Think You Know Me. Not in terms of talent or anything, but the song and
I'm That Bitch was a better song, and they got Nicki Minaj. Versus Robin, who I love Robin so much, but that was not a Robin comparable track.
No, not at all. And then season 13 they did this weird I like the chorus of Congratulations more than I liked Queens All Over the World, but Queens All Over the World was a much more entertaining song and had better performers, blah 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 blah. So the split premiere, I think, offers this really great way to showcase a little bit more of everybody, because you're not competing for 15 slots or 14 in this case. You're competing for 7. You're only competing against 6 other people for your time slot, for your talking heads, for your airtime, for whatever. And it makes it a little bit easier to kind of get to know everybody a little bit more. And that's a problem of older seasons of people who are first eliminated. We don't get to see a lot of. Granted, that's just true of every reality show, but on a show like this, which is a queer art form and talent showcase, I think people maybe resonate with people and identify with queens a little bit more than your regular reality competition show. And so we want to see more of them. We want to talk, we want to get to know them, we want to like latch on to them. That's what makes us root for them. To answer your question, this season feels my long-winded way of going back feels a little bit closer to that 12-13, where I think the premiere was just a little lopsided in terms of the talent showcase. You look at the first episode and it's okay, everybody kind of did something a little bit different, even if it was all dance or lip sync or whatever. Everybody kind of did a little bit something different that all felt good. This opening just felt very similar. Everybody kind of felt like they did all of the same thing, and it felt like a lot of the performances kind of blended into one another, where it's okay, I'm not really seeing what's the difference what is everybody's unique take on things? There was a lot of just lip syncing and dancing, which is great. Everybody, you can be talented at that, but on this show, as a prerequisite, you should be able to lip sync. You should be able to, perform. I don't want to say specifically dance, but perform.
Your talent at a beauty pageant shouldn't be the question and answer portion or the swimsuit. Or, it needs to be something that you're not also doing. And Kevo, I really love what you're cutting to. We have multiple people doing sleevography with Nymphia Wind and Dawn. And while I am certainly not standing here, the whitest Latino saying that all Latin performance art is the same, I can see why for real white folk, they needed to not have Morphine and Geneva in the same episode, so people didn't oversimplify and say, oh, well, it was the Latin girls doing Latin dance. Because Geneva, that was that number, mama. That was a number.
And both openers,
So I have a lot of thoughts about the production here. Kevo, watching this with you, it's always so funny because like there's stuff where I'm like, hey Kevo, aren't you excited about this? And he's like, no, it's fine. I'm very excited to do things that make you happy. And then I'm like, all right, Kevo, it's Friday morning. And he's like, it's Monarch time. It's Monarch homework time. And I'm like, okay, honey. And so I'm like, okay, it's we're going to talk Drag Race today. And Kevo's like, all right, so what are you doing today? And I'm like, I'm going to watch Untalked. I don't know if I'm going to rewatch the episode. And he goes, oh, okay, no problem, honey. I'm going to rewatch the episode. Because like he just takes, hey Jane, he just takes this all so seriously in a really good way. Audience, you guys, the world. Kevo, I love watching this with you because the ways you notice things that I don't just enhance the show for me. It's like a pop-up video track, but for somebody in my head. So
that is what I aspire to be in life, actually. So thank you.
So talk to me about these amazing vending machine women.
These amazing vending machine women, which is a Westering reference. Look it up. I was similarly sort of I don't know. I was expecting more from this episode. I think we even said last week that we thought a lot of the queens that we were more highly anticipating were in this batch, and a lot of them were great. I just feel like everything. This is what I don't like about it being a split premiere where the queens don't meet each other until week 3. Everything is so chaotic in that way. Then we really still have no impression of how so many of these energies are going to interact with each other, and that is a real struggle because I think you pointed to Jane as one of the people on this list. I feel like she is someone who already is both being painted as a villain and is showing sides of herself that aren't villain. And that is really difficult to come up against when there's still people, half this cast hasn't even met her. So it's really hard for us to be making so many first impressions of so many of these personalities when they don't have impressions of each other. So it feels like, which is the perspective where the audience knows things that the characters don't. That's third person omniscient. Yeah, it's a ton of not good. It's a ton of weird for a reality competition.
And one of the things that I liked so much about this group, to jump into this episode a bit, that I was excited about was the level of personal talent we explored here. I thought that the first group, the talents were equally impressive and equally unique and explorative, but something that this group gave me was a sense of storyline, and there was a little bit more like the last group was a little bit more Believe era Cher, where it's all very like, all right, auto-tune, right? But like, I feel like this group was a little bit more like, oh, I want to do a story song, son. And like, it's a little bit more like everybody had a performance going into this. And the excitement for these girls to perform their identities, I just thought there was a little bit more sharing of self through art this episode than there was last episode. It also led to a little bit more engagement from Rue and Michelle. Also, Ross told my absolute favorite joke. Ross Matthews, what were you doing at 16? I was just knee deep in pussy, Rue. That Ross, you motherfucking genius. Man, that was half the way you guys got me to watch this show. You told me there was Trixie and Ross. Like, I just think he is an incredible joke writer.
Plus, this was after we'd already fallen in love with Carson through Rap Battle.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That helped.
Now, before we get into the incredible of the girls, how did you guys feel about the judges this episode? I know we talked a little bit about it last episode. Becky G, I didn't remember that she was an actress. I'm sorry. I really only thought she was a musician. Because it's like Hawkeye, where she's an actress and a musician, and you guys have trouble convincing me she's a singer. I know I've seen a movie with Becky G. Evidently, she was Trini.
Yes, she was Trini in the 2017 Power Rangers,
which featured the lead from the 3rd season of Scream, bringing it all together, right?
Yes.
Full circle.
He was
Full
the
circle,
Blue Ranger. Yeah, right. Oh, and The Circle. They wanted to copy that here with their triangle, which I am repping. I wanted you guys to just know I am repping the triangle. Thank you. Right. I thought this was a really great showing from the judges, even if at the end of the day, I think Charlize, I can't even say her name right, because it's Charlize Theron, I believe is the right way to say it, because it is Theron, because it's supposed to sound almost like throne.
It's like it's like throne. It's not like Theron.
Oh, so it's like Theron.
It's throne.
Throne. Like I swallow sounds?
It's like the Blue Admiral from Ahsoka.
Oh, so it's a trap.
There you go.
Gucci Mama Panties Muffins. I can't even stand this. It's so good.
I thought Becky G. If we talk about producing the show and maybe overproducing the show, Becky G in an episode with a queen who her talent is that she's La Diva Más Latina.
It was so good.
My name is Geneva, La Diva Más Latina.
It was really good. Don't get me wrong. Not a bad thing at all, but it did sort of feel like Becky G was brought in to be like, reminder, everybody has a cultural identity, and these 7 girls kind of all brought that. You said it earlier, like they brought their cultural identities to their talent show a lot more, and the fact that there was a judge who was a little bit more ready to speak on that, I think it might have been weird if Charlize had come in to talk about her white South African identity.
Hey, but then next week we better get Dave Matthews doing the same, is all I'm saying.
Very true.
My bigger problem is, even though the way they enter the room, Charlize comes in and it's all like, it's a doorbell and I've got baked goods and hello. And right after this emotional moment that one of the girls has about her life and her family, Becky G comes.
Pink foghorns.
Wah, wah, wah. Like, it was just very discordant with the moment that we had just been sharing right before she came in with the air horns.
It was definitely a lot. But you know, it really did feel like at a certain point they picked 6 girls, each of whom had a real plan for their talent show to bring a big piece of their heritage and their I mean, like, honestly, even plain Jane, white girls from Boston have no heritage, so it's just burger fingers all around.
That was the most Boston thing.
Yeah, just really not a single brain cell in that performance.
Is Plasma's heritage old?
Yeah. That's the first thing she says.
It's Marvelous Mrs. Maisel's whatever white girl
Mothball
stuff.
It's just this.
And so it is exactly that.
However you quantify that.
Nymphia, Megami, everybody really had this is my personal life thing to their talent, and it felt like Becky G was kind of somebody who, like, you would associate a little more with having heritage and having culture. And so, not in any kind of bad way, but it does sort of make you think, like, they really planned this out. And it does. I actually kind of don't think. I think we had an equal number of like, well, these two girls are just lip syncing to an original track and dancing. These two girls are doing a talent, but it's kind of a weird talent. These two are insanely talented. And when it stacks up, it's kind of similar for both groups, but there was a bit more heart and personality and personhood to, I mean, even I think, unfortunately, Megami had one of the worst performances of the entire cast.
I cannot wait to give the even gayer than what we got explanation of it.
Yeah.
I searched my heart and found it.
I mean, I have so much respect for making the decision. It just, ultimately, it didn't work. And that's okay. We'll talk about it. But at the end of the day, I think the amount of heart she put into it kind of almost tops anybody in the first group. Like her passion about that message to me is kind of even bigger than like the humor and the talent of what Saphira did.
I do agree that there is a Tapao level of heart and soul in what Megami did, and the fact that she chose to do it using plain white cue cards. There's an idea that actually harkens to like the point of protest art.
Yeah, exactly.
I really get what you're saying.
It didn't work. It didn't work for this venue. It wasn't well received. Those things, all that happens. But like, I mean, Saphira's was one of my favorites. I'll laugh about it forever. But when I look at these, if I put these two against each other, I see Megami's heart a little bit more than I see Saphira's, even though I saw so much more of what Saphira wants to bring to the table in terms of fierceness of competition. So it's a weird balancing act.
It's really important to remember this was filmed last year when Tennessee was going through its ban drag act. That we also saw a lot of it in Texas and a lot of red and southern and Midwest states that were trying to ban the art form of drag. And I imagine for a lot of the queens that was on their mind because they were literally that's their livelihood. They weren't there to be in the forefront. They weren't there to protest. They weren't there to raise money because they were filming this. Granted, this is for their career, and you sometimes, you understandably, put yourself first. But this was almost a way of like Megami saying, I can't be there in person. This is how I'm going to do it. I have the TV platform. Everybody's going to see this. And so on that level, I agree with you. I really respect what she did. I'm going to liken it, even though it's nowhere near the same thing as Irene doing the water bit. Not for this stage. It does.
Yeah, ultimately it didn't work, but that she's not stupid. She's not that. If some people treat it when a queen has a failure, like how does this person even get out of bed and get their pants on? Some stuff, you're all idiots too. Like you have no idea what doesn't translate to film. To TV, some stuff like it's little things too. Sometimes you can have the most gorgeous outfit and it looks terrible in studio lights, and like you just don't know that, and you're not stupid for choosing that outfit.
Well, if we want to jump in on the queens, then I want to jump in on the queens, starting our new favorite game in the world a whole lot earlier and in its improved, faster format. We're going to be playing our favorite game in the whole wide world that we came up with last week. Three Things for a Queen. And where we are here to celebrate these amazing queens. We're going to say a magic moment that we thought was so great. A maybe moment that makes us wonder where the show is going on down the line with them, right? A little hint of their story, maybe something we think might happen. And then a messy moment, which is never like girl, but it's kind of like, hey, this is something that we've seen on the show before, and we are worried about your trajectory should you choose to continue the mess, right? And we're going to, as we did last week, go in order. And so I'm going to start with a queen that just fucked me so good this week. I loved Hershey. Hershey Le Courgette, big fan right off the bat. She walked in first, and I fell in love right away. My magic moment was I loved the song, and then I found out Cornbread wrote it, so it kind of made a lot of sense that it was such a fucking banger track. And now she's got that shit. She's got Whiplash, and like And like the minute I thought about it, all of the rhyming and the, it is so cornbread. It is so insanely cornbread. It is wild. My maybe, girl, nobody got that you were on safari looking for the whiplash. Please stop saying, well, you all got it, so I feel safe. No one got it. You had to explain it. And even then, everybody looked a little concerned for you. And my big messy was Hershey has made a lot of because Hershey took my heart. A+ in this queen, right? What an amazing performer. She made a lot of comments about feeling like Plain Jane was seconds away from being a shady bitch, and then openly talked about Plain Jane in Plain Jane's eye line. It's just a little unfortunate that immediately, I mean, I'm sorry, but now you can't be a Jedi. You no longer have the high ground. And that is a little bit my shit when you're like, I don't talk bad about people, so I'm going to talk bad about everybody in front of them. I'm sure that's not who she is, and I'm sure that's not what she was doing. But it was a thing where I get very in my head about, like, I know how Kevo's going to edit me. So I'm just a little bit more careful about the timing on what I say. And I just was thrown off a little bit by that moment. So, Jonah, I want to kick to you for a second. Talk to me about this queen. I mean, I really, the ferocity of this queen is incredible. Talk to me. What are your 3 things for Queen Hershey Liqueur Jeté, who, by the way, RuPaul adding Hershey Liquor Store Jeté? That was excellent. Great job.
I hope every episode it's a new... similar for Kenny Davenport, that RuPaul started just naming airports. I hope she starts naming different. Grey Goose. Absolute. Hershey Liqueur Jeté. I think I said that a little bit like I drink some liqueur. My magic moment, I'm going to give it to her performance. I thought she performed really well. I really loved the song. It was entertaining. I enjoyed everything that she kind of brought to it. And this is going to sound shady, especially because I am younger, but seeing a queen who's a little bit older and a little bit established and talking about her family and be like, no, I got, my husband, we adopted his brother's, his sister's kids, our niece and nephew, those are our daughters, and I fight with my daughter over diva of the house. Though I really resonated with that, and I think that's a perspective, when we talk about that in the Meet the Queens, I think it's a perspective that we don't have on the show. I was actually, not to compare, 2 beautiful black women, but I was almost a little shocked that we really brushed over a lot of Tamisha Iman talking about, like, not only even having a very large drag family dynasty, she has biological children or at least children, and was like, just didn't really talk about it, or they didn't show us, and maybe it was talked about, maybe they cut it, I don't know.
I'm such a Tamisha stan. Thank you for bringing her up this episode. I feel like we're a better show for it.
So that's my combined magic moment, is this really warm personality that I get. That's this the family mom, the family woman, and the family man. I'm going to say that I worry that she's going to get compared too much to cornbread. And I think when it comes to a lot of legacy, that's my sister, that's my drag mother, that's, insert, relationship here, I do worry that a lot of the judgment gets put on, well, cornbread would have slayed this, and I feel like maybe won't always get to see her as the individual and, the amazing talent that I think she is. The messy, I know she said she liked it, again, she's a mother, so it works, but she did have a very, they talk about it a lot on Project Runway. The cut of the dress was this weird, mid-shin, Mother of the Bride length.
It was a little PAX channel.
It was, not to say you have to dress young or you have to dress old, but there's certain lengths will read certain ways. And if she said she liked it, that's up to you. That's all. If you're the one wearing it, so you have to be the one to like it. It was just, I would be mindful of okay, do I want to come off, a little
it didn't
bit more...
even read old. Nobody makes a dress that's a mid shin length, even for old lady. It would either go down to the floor or go up.
And she was like, it's because about modesty. But then here she is cosplaying Lil' Kim as Viper from the X-Men. So
yeah, it's
it was a choice. It happened.
It happened, and it's fine.
And we're gonna just move through it.
We're just gonna move on.
All right, TK, talk to me. Hit me with your magic. Your
Magic
maybe,
moment
your magic-
was the talking about being a dad. That was really, really beautiful, really fun, really important. The maybe moment was the safari theme.
Yeah.
It just it didn't read. I thought I was really excited. I thought maybe we were doing a Brian Fellows Safari Planet reference, which is one of my favorite SNL Tracy Morgan sketches, and I was so excited. And it wasn't that at all, which is fine. But it was just weird. I also pity the poor PAs that had to pull all of that shrubbery off stage for the next queen to come on.
And a
And
lot of set. Good for
Yeah.
her for saying I need a lot of this set.
I got props, baby. I got a peek behind those bushes. And then my messy was her entrance look. Just didn't do it for me. Just wasn't. I think it might have worked if not for the extra.
It was a lot of fabric.
The hip cape that she's just swishing it around.
They were like leg capes.
Because I think she looks great in the snakeskin, and I love
Yep.
the neck up.
Yep.
I agree with. I think it was just a little too much fabric. I think
Yep.
a little less fabric would have read better.
I will definitely agree because for me, I was even going to say I feel like a lot of this look for me is my magical moment, but I definitely hear where you're coming from, and I think maybe even with just a different fabric, this would have been better. But the way that it moved was so heavy.
Yeah. If it had maybe been like a purple, similar to the hair, because it's kind of
that too.
Lined with the snakeskin.
Yeah. Something like that. But yeah, that just and like I didn't hate it or anything. She's one of those queens who just had a great night overall. So like the messiest thing to me was that I didn't love the additional fabric around the waist. But yeah, Kevo, tell me about how this compares as your magic moment.
I mostly just love the hair. I think it's gorgeous. I love the tone. I love the way it moves. I love the stylization. I thought she looked gorgeous in that regard. I love the design of the look more than I like the execution, is how we would say over on our Project Runway coverage. I think a lot of modifications, even like a different shade of gray. This just looks like a paint tarp in some ways. So I get that. It's hard for me to sequence my thoughts in the so I'm just gonna generally yeah, no, she's good. I like it. No, I loved her. I love the dad stuff. I think she's great.
Well, then let's talk about somebody who is not a dad, but so wonderful. I fell for Plasma. I kind of thought I would. There's a lot about Plasma that's very me. She's very she's old school. She's got that Kate Butch feel. She's very a lovely lady of the elegant evening, and I love that shit. That's totally where I'm at. I think she runs the risk of literally blending in a little too much because she constantly talks about how she's that white girl. It like came up 3 times in one episode, and that's a lot. But
yeah,
that's the editors, right? To hit my trips. My magic moment is silly because I know I'm going to say so many positive things about her all season. I don't want to be stuck on a broken record. So my positive moment for her is, Mama, I love that you two live the Jantasy.
Oh my God! Right, I should have gotten a picture.
Her kimono.
Her
Jan kimono.
Oh my God.
Yes.
The maybe is she actually clearly does have trouble shutting up. And as somebody who has trouble shutting up, as somebody who like literally, if I were untucked, I would try to have a joke for everything. The guy who got me into podcasting, Chris Podcasts, one time said when he was at a party that somebody was at, or it was his roommate in college, whatever it was, somebody was like, man, I wonder what it's like to know a Lorelai Gilmore in real life. And he was like, it's my friend Nico, and it's really unlikable. And so, like, if you really do have a comeback for everything, and you really do try to have a one-liner, and you really do have to outsmart everybody, it really is tough. And
you said there's some amount of the edit that is to blame for sure, but if there are that many times that she brings up that she's white for them to put to the edit, then that's a problem in the first place.
And it's not a ding, but it's something that Rue is either going to love and find enchanting and honest and sweet, like Willow Pill, that sort of like self honesty, or she's going to gun for it like Jan. And so it's iffy. The messy is I truly hated the runway look on a lot of levels. It's just I love the pincushion. I love the pincushion idea, but everything about the physical execution of it was so not what I'd wanted for her on our rewatch that I was just ultimately let down by her tailor. So Plasmy babies. TK,
Who's next?
You're right below
Okay.
me, TK. You go.
All right, we're doing it that way. So my magic is her talent, not her talent show, but what you could clearly see is her talent. Her presence, even when she just walks in. I think so many queens have come in with this red-haired, I'm over 60 vibe and look, and like even my beloved Jinx, when she came in for the first time, didn't really embody it. She aspired to it. She has grown into it very well, but Plasma walked in with the studied poise of an actor who is excellently executing the role of the older, Broadway MILF. And from there, I did think her talent show was a bit stuffed, but it did show that she was fully capable of doing everything that she said she could. So I just overall, I thought her talent was really magical and left me very excited to kind of see where she goes from there. My maybe was both of her looks, the pincushion and the entrance look, for all that I really thought she did embody that older woman with the entrance look. Jinx Monsoon, Robbie Turner. I'm missing two more, but like this is a look that we've seen done many times. And I think at a certain point, you just go, I'm going to try something else. Even if it is my shtick, even if it's my thing, I'm going to do a different kind of look for my entrance even. Like I can always come back to the old Hollywood redheaded MILF. So that was just kind of my maybe. Maybe we try something else. And then my messy is kind of going back to what Nico said. It's really her lack of confidence. And I want her to be confident. It's funny. She's 24. She's at that age where you are unequivocally an adult. When you're 18, you are by America's legal standard an adult and you can be tried for crimes.
Well, but you can get away with getting put in a juvie thing until you're 20 if you just like are a PR assistant and
if you're just like, no, I'm baby. But by 24, you are fully an adult and yet you are still so young. And so you come into certain situations and you go, yeah, no, I pay my rent. I've got bills. I have a whole life. I'm 24. And then you as like even a 30-year-old look back at yourself when you were 24 and you could just go like, holy shit, I was such a kid. I just had absolutely no idea. And
that massive idiot.
Exactly. And her vibe to me was very much like, that's definitely an adult. That dude pays his bills. He works hard to get in the drag that he's in and give a show. And when he is 30, he's going to look back at 24-year-old Plasma and go like, guys, can you fucking believe that I was that kid? And so, I think it's kind of a beautiful mess. Like I think I could still see him in the top 4. It's not like such a mess. It's unsalvageable, but like that lack of confidence and that lack of like surety about oneself was definitely there to me.
Jonah, what's your triple M for this out of this world performer?
So my magic, I want to agree with TK. It's the talent. This is a very talented individual. And this also, I'm going to tie it into the second part of the magic because I have to be, extra. she looks a lot more annoying than she actually is.
Ah, yes, she
She's
does look
actually
annoying as shit.
Yeah, like Ms.
She's
Cracker, where
that
like
girl. Yes.
yeah.
And I say that as somebody who is annoying, and I say it with love.
But you don't
It's-
look it.
No, I don't, which is, worse. What is worse? That you don't look annoying, but you are, but you look annoying and you actually are it.
I don't know. When people see me coming, they go, "Oh fuck." So like
Yeah.
it's a feeling, it's a vibe.
But no, she really fascinates me because she seems like, again, not to be shady about ages or whatever, like this generation ruse Jinx Monsoon, this person who grew up with Drag Race, grew up with it at the oeuvre in the forefront, and loves this idea of this old 20s to 40s starlit Hollywood glamour and that old school kind of, these are the divas, and the references that she names are skew a lot older for somebody who's at the time of filming is a year younger than me.
Yeah, the youngest impression she did was on the cover of an AARP. So
my maybe is, I again, not to harp on it too much, but I feel bad that she has a love for this aesthetic, but it's an aesthetic that not only have we seen a lot of, there's only so many ways you can really try to innovate it. I think maybe trying to do a silhouette with a more modern fabric or a certain styling, but what would that look like today? I think trying to find those ways to make it different, make it special, make it, you're not just another Broadway queen, you're not just another theater queen in that regard. My messy moment, I think I say this with love. She's a fan of the show. She's a fan of Jan. I think a lot of the New York, Broadway theatrical queens all kind of know each other, work together, whether they're chorus dancers on Broadway, whatever, however they know one another. I think watching the show and being more than likely connected to those queens, I think she should have been a little bit more prepared to hold back, because I see her getting the exact same critiques that Jan got, where Jan was told, Jan, you're always at 100. We need you to find those peaks and valleys. We saw it in this town. Think of Jan in You Don't Know Me, where Jan did everything. She threw it in the kitchen sink. And I get it. That's your moment on TV. You don't know if you're going home. You don't know how long you're going to be there. Showcase what you can.
you're on top of the world.
You're on top of the world, baby. But it was a lot. You want to. I also think the element of surprise is, in a competition like this, is your best friend. Saving things for later, pulling things out when you need it most, and the judges don't know you have it, can really turn the tide of you winning a challenge and saving you from elimination. I think throwing everything out there, being like, "Hey, everybody, look what I can do," was just a little too much for the first introduction. Paring it back a little bit, I think, would have served her a little bit better in the long run. Granted, it's already all filmed, so it's moot advice, but I love her. I really do enjoy her.
I think I'm able to quantify where my brain was before. By going forth, everyone covered a lot of stuff already, which is great. I love going forth. So I think I have what I'm going to call the leftover which is, any dying thoughts that jump out at me, anything we might not have covered, and generally just emphasizing what everyone already said, which is, I think she maybe just needs to learn to calm down a little. And I think we've seen that she can be pretty level in her interviews. I think mostly she comes across as pretty level in her interviews. It's when she's in the room that I think she gets a little anxious in the crowd. And so I'm hoping as people get to know each other better, that might calm down a little bit. This is, again, that thing of, this is the second week, but it is our first week with this set of girls, and we still haven't had a first week of all the girls together, so we don't know if she's going to be better or worse next week. So good luck on that. I like her a lot. I love the comparison to Ms. Cracker, all the Jan comparisons. She really is that girl where you love her. She can be kind of annoying. It's Gretchen Wieners, and I wish her luck. I thought her talent portion was really great. If maybe a little much you maybe packed a little bit too much in. It's like the inverse of what we were saying about Megami, where we feel like she didn't show enough of herself. This was maybe showing a little bit too much, and it was a little
Scooch
frantic.
Two.
A scooch too captivating, 100%. But better shoot for the stars than not jump at all, I guess. Jojo.
I was gonna say is, I always think the judges don't really give the best critiques all the time. I do think Michelle saying for this challenge, being the master of one as opposed to the jack of all trades was going to probably serve you better. I think that was one of the times where I think that was one of the best pieces of advice to give somebody in that moment of, hey, it's great that you have so many talents. For this, pick one and do the best at it. Be the best singer.
Now, I don't want to see any of those impressions for Snatch Game.
No.
And it's sort of the same advice that she gave Mirage, where she was like, you're at a professional level of talent, but you're not performing at a professional level of polish. And, that is something that I worry about a lot of these performers not seeing the big picture, but I will give her this. If Plasma is saying to herself, I might be eliminated first, I think she just helped her booking rate really, really well by showing an incredible range of ability. So even if this was her last day, she made a calculated risk to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to book on this talent show, even if it doesn't win me the episode. So I think that's pretty cool.
Excellent point.
Oh no, TK, you're so handsome, but we can't hear your beautiful voice.
Okay. It's a real, that kind of, if that is at all her calculation, that's a real ding on her confidence. Like, it is a smart choice, but if her plan was like, just in case I go home first, I got to do it all. I got to get it all out there.
Also, she's got a great face.
Yeah.
She's so gorgeous. That face is like so easy to stare at.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Now, I want to talk about a queen that I love. I'm very into her, and my triple M on Geneva, I feel like it's kind of the exact same thing 3 times. My magic is I felt like Geneva's show was actually very complete. It played a beginning, middle, and an end, and each part of it told an element of the story, but I don't feel like I've now seen everything Geneva can do. She showcased essentially one talent really cleverly, and that for me was a really winning combination. The maybe is, I think, a little complicated because I worry that in that she seems, I mean, don't get me wrong, she was one of the top 2, and I do see that, but this was not a very original song. It was an incredible song, and we're all still singing it, but it's kind of Find Your Light. It's kind of like an okay song that we like because of what situation it was in. This is not something we're all going to put on because we're not going to run around saying, I'm Geneva. You know what I mean? So I feel like in some ways, and some of the moves in, to the song, she played a very clever, safe game really well, but this at the same time didn't feel groundbreaking outside of the incredible interpretation of her cultural heritage, which I thought was beautiful and very, very wonderful. But the draggy parts were just sort of cool. And then my negative is, and again, I know she was top 2, but the other girls don't talk about her like she's a competition at all. The other girls didn't seem to register her. In fact, when she was top 2, I don't know that I had even seen a number of the other girls directly interact with her outside of reacting to her talent. And that worries me that there's not a lot of her going forward. So I'm a little worried that my messy note is she just didn't seem irreplaceable in this episode in a way that was unfortunate when she ultimately didn't win. So how about you guys? Who's got 3 things for the incredible, oh my God, I almost said Geneva Megami, and I'm so mad at myself. Geneva Carr.
My magic was just her confidence. She had such a kind of focused presence coming into the room, and then being so open about her heritage and being the first Mexican-born queen that's on U.S. Drag Race, and putting that into her performances and everything. She just really came to play, I feel like. My meh was the entrance look. It just, I loved the idea, but then the kind of wrestling belts in the middle just wasn't quite the move for me. I don't know how you would make that work, but it just like, I don't know. She's just so beautiful. I wanted her to really, really shine, and that just took away from me a little bit. And then my messy, this is one of those really tough things where when you set the bar really high for yourself, I then have to kind of look at all the places between the low and the bar and kind of see. So basically, like, I thought her talent show was really fun, but then when I saw that that's how good she could do and what she could bring to it, even like the catchiness of I'm Geneva, La Diva Mas Latina, just kind of was like, okay, but what else? Give me more. Because it could have been a track that, went on iTunes. It could have been a track that was her signature track. And I ultimately, for as great a talent show number as it was, for as functional as it was to bring her to the top and make us all remember her, I already am just like, I know you could have given us like an actual banger. And so, yeah, I mean, it's the curse of being like, oh man, the A+ student did such a good B+ performance, and now I have to be like, right, but what about your A game?
Mm-hmm.
How's your A game?
Lots of
No
complaints.
complaints. Oh no, yeah, probably same. Now that I think about what A game probably is. But I'm a solid D student.
Listen, D's still get degrees sometimes, I think.
I did.
Dear God, Jonah, go.
Yeah, I mean.
Dear God, it's me, Jonah. I'm here to talk about my 3 M's for Geneva Carr. So my magic, I think, is seeing somebody so proud of their heritage and incorporating that into their artistic style. I think she really is kind of bringing so much confidence in who she is, where she came from, the culture she grew up in, and bringing it to the main stage, bringing it to the U.S., bringing it to the world. And it's really, I don't know, kind of just astounding and amazing. Where I want to be like, no, tell me everything, give me everything, give it all to me. I want to know everything about like how you grew up. She was talking about how her grandparents were in a mariachi band, and that's what inspired her. Part of her talent show and her runway, and I love that, and I love when people bring those kinds of stories. So that's my magic moment, is seeing this very proud Mexicana, and like how incredibly like unabashed she is about that. I think that's my magic moment. My maybe is, I think I kind of have to agree with Nico. I'm thinking back to the episode, and I don't know if they showed a lot of her interacting with the other queens. I think there was maybe like one moment with her talking about being in Texas, and Plasma talking about how Plasma's from Texas, and then moved quickly, as best as she could, moved out. But outside of that, it felt weird that she was in the top 2, but didn't really have a lot of talking heads. It felt like, maybe I'm wrong and misremembering, but it's what it kind of felt like. I didn't really remember her in that sense. And so that's my maybe, is the show trying to hide her a little bit more for whatever reason. That's the things I'm thinking about. And my messy, unfortunately for me, it's the entrance look. I love that she brought the flag, and she was trying to figure out, okay, what is the drag way to do the Mexican flag? And I get that she has to wear the corset, so the lines have to match up. It's just a little, like, the sleeves are a little bit bulky. It's just an unfortunate miss for me. From the neck up, she looks gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I love her paint. I love the way she paints. Not really to always compare people, but it's also very early on, so we have to give ourselves points of reference. She reminds me of Mistress. They're both, Latina queens from Texas, this very old school aesthetic, very big, very pageant, very huge, everything. So it, but she also comes across not as enmeshed in the shadiness of drag that Mistress was. So she comes across
Softer.
softer. I think that's the best way. And that's just another part. It's not really messy. It's just something that I'm thinking about as well.
I do see it though, especially in a lot of her stylization and the way she carries herself. The big hair is very Mistress.
Very
but like
Texas.
a much friendlier version so far. And I wonder if that's even maybe why she didn't make as much of an impression. The Shady Queens get more light. So if she's got nicer things to say, not really going to get as much screen time. But if they decided she made it to the top, hopefully that bodes well. And I guess that's my is, yeah, I mean, she was the top. So I guess we'll see what happens when there's an actual challenge behind it. I loved TK pointing to the wrestling belt of this as well. Because yes, absolutely, it's meant to be a girdle, and you really tried something here. And at the very least, you can say we are talking about this look a lot, so it's very memorable.
Oh, for sure. And
that's an M.
And now let's talk about a queen that I'm sure is at least going to dominate some amount of the blogospherage. And it's funny because I often feel like all Untucked does is bother me. I've really begun to make the joke of if you're not watching Untucked, you're only getting half as brainwashed, because like it's the same editors, it's the same people, it's not different. It's two different Plain Janes, and that's what's fascinating. The Plain Jane that appeared in Untucked was just not calculated, and it just wasn't polished. She just asked questions in a way that showed that there's a person in there. And so her whole I have no thoughts, I'm just a mean, lean, giant tit drag machine just sort of fell apart, where you could see she was a person in a way that also made her more interesting, but made the performance more complicated. So I think this is going to be a queen we talk about for a long time.
I would argue that there are maybe like a couple of moments in the main show where you see that from her, but they're very few and far between. And it's stuff like she's talking to Nymphia, and I dare anyone to be horrible when they're talking to Nymphia. I just don't think it's possible.
So that's my magic moment. The way she cheers on Nymphia and is like, well, you're going to be the host of Drag Race Taiwan. And, Nymphia is like, oh, no, I don't think Taiwan is a big enough place to have its own drag race. And Jane is just immediately like, maybe you're going to be the thing that makes it that big. Like, it doesn't feel shitty. She's not like, well, maybe you. She's like, maybe it's you. Like, it's just a really human moment. My maybe, and this is a thing, as somebody who feels like I have a chance of making RuPaul laugh with the things that I say being so incredibly stupid and ridiculous, I do think that Burger Finger dazzles with its stupid in a way that covers up that the production's only 70% of the way there. And the actual song itself is only 70% of the way there. And the idea execution is only 70% of the way there, but it's so fucking stupid and she's so fucking hot that you're going to deal with it. And it's sort of a thing that I talk about a lot, where the songs that make it into heavy rotation in radio stations years later and get remembered as the stuff that, shows up in trailers for movies and TV shows that take place in that era are rarely the songs that were actually number one. They're the songs that bubbled under, and it's important to consider that the thing that she provided here, Jane, is she provided a memorable performance, but it covers up the fact that it's not a memorable song. So my maybe is it's a lot of glamour and camera angles that is maybe covering up some unfinished hems. Right. And then the thing that I hated the most was Jane, if your whole thing was you were always going to play a shitty, shady game in voting, and she is the first one to be like, I'm not going to vote by what I said, then she shouldn't have been the first one to say, I'm going to vote this way. Be shady, be shitty, suck. But to be like, I guess I'm a liar then. Like, it's not cute. It's just infantile. And I don't think that she would laugh for even 1 second at somebody else doing burger fingers. So that's my 3 on this queen, who really a very human person. And I was very impressed by the levels she showed in Untucked. And I look forward to more from her this season.
My magic for Jane is her commitment. She really commits to her looks. She really commits to her bits. I don't think a lot of this isn't stuff that we haven't seen from like Katya or Jimbo. And I don't think that is the most unforgivable sin in the world. I think emulating queens who have done it very well in the past, if you are really committed, can be a thing. And I thought, she was very smart to pick a phrase that nobody else is going to bring into this world and into this room. It's a little gift for RuPaul. If that's because World of Wonder owns that now. That's on their stage. They own it. So if Burger Finger is popular and they want to fucking make t-shirts, the funniest part of Untucked was that Nymphia goes and grabs a little pound cake, which now
breaks her.
It was really a performative metaphor for what happened to Little Pound Cake, which, became property of World of Wonder and then got broken. And Burger Finger is now theirs too. So she came in very committed to this dumb bit that I didn't think was great, but I thought she came in entirely to sell it. And Rue liked it fine. I'm not here to argue about that fact. It wasn't necessarily for me, but she committed entirely, and I felt like she committed to her runways as well. So I appreciate that level of commitment. It takes a lot, and on the back end of things, I think I don't think you can have applied to be on the 16th season of this show, behave this way and not understand that you are going to get the villain edit. I think she's very committed to that. So, to each their own, and I don't think there's anything irredeemable about her personality, her talent, anything like that. So, my maybe is her looks all around. I see really big positives about them. Again, this first look, the entrance look, and then the Burger Finger look, really, I thought she sold them very well, but I do feel like I've seen them originally on other queens that, especially the Burger Finger is just very much felt Jimbo. With the exception of literally the words Burger Finger on the corset, that just felt entirely like a Jimbo moment. But again, she committed to it. She sold it. So it's a maybe. It'll go either way. And then the Anastasia into the Boston Bimbo, I don't know. Part of me loves it. Part of me really hates it. But she committed to it. So, that's my maybe. My messy is she just does come off kind of evil. I don't love the villains the first time around. Usually they settle, and Nico even pointed to it. She's better in Untucked. Mistress really grated on me that first episode of season 15. And ultimately, I thought that Mistress was one of the best, kindest, most loving queens, really took people under her wing. It was just kind of how she showed it. But she was really kind of shady and into being a little bit dickish. And sometimes that just really grates on me. And for Jane, I can absolutely see places where she even in this episode, comes off as very nice and very humble. But she also has moments where I didn't enjoy watching her not be super kind or cool or cute. I don't think she's an idiot. I don't think she walked in and is like, oh, I'm a total dick. Shit, I've got to start pretending to be nice. I think this is all a calculated performance by somebody who showed up to be on a performative reality TV show. And I'm not going to insult her by being like, oh, she miscalculated. But it's not always for me. And even if it's not for me, don't send people hate on the internet. First, nobody cares about your stupid opinion. Two, you don't know anything. Don't worry about it. If it's not for you, that's fine. Just don't enjoy it. That's all I got.
Jojo, how did you feel about Plain Jane, her burger fingers, and the mean girl of the condiment bar over here?
Oh, well, I guess she's giving Tina Burner a run for her money with the color scheme. I know you said that you didn't really like it, but the fact that she was willing to use the voting to her advantage to say, I think Nymphia is my strongest competition right now. I think she's going to do the best.
Oh,
I have to ensure.
I loved that. I just hated that she literally said, I just want to go first and say, I'm going to vote honestly. And then literally goes, I'm going to vote evil. Like, if she had just been like, guys, I'm in it for myself. Shut the fuck up and leave me alone. I would have respected it. It's just that she literally purposefully opened her mouth to lie when she could have just shut her mouth.
Or say, I'm not going to tell you how I'm voting. I'm fine with either of those.
Can I give my honest opinion? I think the voting shook her strategy and that she had to start playing nice in a way to
she thought that they were all untalented and she could just rate the most least talented as number one and be fine.
But I definitely agree with that. My point more so being, they didn't find out the voting until after she was already being bitchy the entire time, and so she had to kind of backtrack in a way and put out a way saying like, no, I think I have to kind of vote my heart, and almost in a placative way of that's not the right word I'm thinking of, but in a way a plausible deniability of, well, no, I actually truly felt this. I didn't like your talent. This is a queen that is very studied and calculated. She really understands reality television and she understands what she needs to do to get ahead in this competition. And maybe in my messy kind of go into hand in hand, because she's so unadulteratedly evil in a way that's like slightly fascinating, because part of it is I don't know if she's fully committed to this. I think of not necessarily a villain, but someone very bitchy in ways. I think of, like, you look at Bianca Del Rio, who was saying very bitchy things, but there was always a comedic punch to it, or it was something that was very real to what she was saying, and you're like, that was very bitchy to say, but you kind of have to be like, okay, no, she kind of is right. Or someone like Gia Gunn, not to name two people from season 6, but Gia Gunn saying the most out-of-pocket things, because that's just truly who she is.
But Plain Jane calls Geneva a piglet.
She does, and and my point that I want to get to is that it doesn't. It feels rehearsed in a way, and we kind of saw the glimpse of the levels of Jane lifting up Nymphia, actually talking about with Megami, being like, hey, are you, how do you feel about the performance? Is that something you really normally do? And Megami having that moment to talk about being like, no, I am impassioned. That is, I wouldn't change anything about what I did to be political and to make that statement. We saw those glimpses of the other sides to her face. Because I don't think she has 2 of them. She has 3. And it just doesn't feel like somebody who wants to commit to being the bitch. It's somebody who wants to use it to get what they want, but I don't actually believe that's who she fully is. And that's fine, and I'm willing to be on her side about plenty of things, but there are also other things where I was like, no, you just said that to be bitchy. No, you just said that to be bitchy. In our, group chat, I likened her in a way to the character of Gina Linetti, where Gina was so selfish. We found the comedy in that. I haven't found the full comedy in Plain Jane, but I am willing to see how far she is to go, willing to go for that. Where it's, for my money, I'm probably, maybe me and then maybe TK, a little bit more okay with the level of bitchiness. Like, I think our bitchiness tolerances are a little bit higher than, say you, Nico or Kevo. So I'm willing to give her a couple more chances to be like, all right, come on, really showcase what you got. But I think she's a queen who's I think she's really the smartest one there. Truly, I do think she's the smartest one there.
Kevo, how you feeling?
I don't know if I'd call her the smartest one there or anything, but I really do appreciate that she, like we've been saying, is already showing us a different side of herself, a more tempered, level side of herself. One of the things that I really felt for her on is when she was trying to ask constructive questions of Megami's performance, and I felt like it was kind of taken out of context. And Megami's answer was that, I guess I could have been sillier. And like, that's not what Jane asked. And the fact is, call a bitch a bitch. And if she was being a bitch, then sure. But no, she was asking about showcasing your talent and showing more of yourself through your performance. And it wasn't about being silly. She wasn't saying you should have been sillier. And so I fear for her already pushing herself into this position of a villain and not being able to be taken seriously for giving actual genuine moments like that. So I really hope for her sake that we do get to see more moments like that, because it will be hard to take her seriously as a contender and a finalist if she can't let those more human moments out more.
And speaking of queens that really provided a human moment, and already the segue to Megami.
Yeah, absolutely.
Megami is amazing. My magic for Megami is, I love a cosplay queen, and I think she really does some upper level makeup. The look is so good. It's so tight. The maybe is, I felt a couple of the actual outfits were kind of poorly fit. They didn't really complement her body. I felt like oftentimes I loved Megami, maybe in spite of how she was presented and the lighting. It just wasn't the best presentation of an incredible queen. And then obviously my Messi is going to be the talent show performance. Anybody who was lucky enough to see Hairspray on Broadway, there's a really significant number, and it was recreated by Queen Latifah and Hairspray Live, and Mama just stands there. She doesn't move. It's a moment of proud standing. But in Hairspray the film, it's a march, and it becomes this expression of movement. And it's not that what Megami did wasn't amazing, it's that it was just standing there. And I love making a good face, but anyone who's ever seen this music video has already seen Linda Perry warp her face into shapes you can't even come close to as a living creature. So, it's not that the performance wasn't good. It's that it wasn't a good version of this performance, unfortunately. And so I love the idea. I love the meaning. And I really hope that she can rebound, because I think she's incredible and I love her.
Yeah, my magic is just her vibe overall. She just is exactly my aesthetic, my interest. We don't ever get to see a ton of cosplay on Drag Race. We really don't even get that many queens who call themselves cosplay queens. This is often in large part because it's very difficult to dress as a character and have World of Wonder feel comfortable depicting that and depicting the rights. Dax gave us a very little bit of Storm during her entrance in season 7, and Jeremy gave us the Riddler, and basically otherwise we haven't, outside of Snatch Game, really seen what happens when you fuse cosplay and drag on Drag Race. We just don't get a lot of it. So like, I even thought that this Antichrist look was kind of cosplay-y and like was kind of more about that and about sort of the semiotics and signifiers of the theme rather than being about aesthetics and a look. And that's going to be, so I like her vibe, but then moving into the maybe, her constant thing is always going to be that personality butting up against the rules and restrictions of Drag Race. Because my messy is actually not the talent show. The talent show kind of falls into that maybe category of like, she did something that takes a whole lot of balls and I think can really be a part of a show. She just happened to miscalculate how it would go. And maybe she didn't miscalculate. Maybe she just risked it because she really wanted to do the message. But ultimately, she didn't get the response that you want from, you know, showing your talent. She didn't get that, like, well, now everybody's obsessed with Megami. She got not great critiques. She wasn't in the top. And I think she took a little bit of a hit on social media. But the bigger thing for me was the interpretation of the reveal. She missed that prompt. I loved that look. I loved, again, biblically accurate angel plus Pan's Labyrinth. I mean, these are really themey cosplay elements more than they are drag elements in a lot of ways, more than they are just female illusion or giving you woman. But for all that I thought it was so cool, she did miss the prompt, which was the reveal. And I think she even still could have done the eyes. It really just would have been about like, Pan, you know, like reveal the eyes. And so, you know, that's my messy. I think it's all one big package for me. The stuff that I love about her is also the stuff that for this competition might be tough for survival. But she's top of my list for queens that I want to go see when I'm in New York.
Jonah, what you got?
So this is a queen I think we talked about with the Meet the Queens. I resonate with her. I love the aesthetic. I agree with you, TK. It's an aesthetic we don't really get to explore a lot because we do have to worry about rights and, you know, these characters are, you know, copywritten and trademarked, so you have to be careful. Granted, we also, you know, last season we got Sugar and Spice, who didn't do wink wink Ariel and Belle. So there's ways you can get around it a little bit. She really, I say this in a very fun way. She comes off a little feisty, and I like that. She's another queen here who's like kind of not willing to put up with people, and she's getting like, no, I'm not gonna back down. No, I'm gonna teach these children, and I really like that. So I think my magic is the kind of it's the personality. I really do vibe with her. I'll say this as somebody who I love the Staten Island representation. I mean, Mama, give it to me. Give it to me. The Staten Island Barbie. It's been way too long. We don't have any Staten Island queens. I need them. Granted, there's not, you know, a massive amount of drag on Staten Island, so I understand it. My maybe is I don't want her. I think when you go on Drag Race, I think you really have to think about a lot of things of, do I think I have a real shot of winning this? And do I think everything I showcase will be at my 100%? And I don't know if Megami's thinking about everything. And I think that was the comment that Ross gave her, of thinking about all the details. Bring it all the time, every time, with everything that you do. I think that there's some really amazing ideas. I don't know if at the time of what we just saw had the best finishes. And for me, my messy is, I think she kind of just missed the brief a little bit. I love that look. I really did love her runway look, but just going like this isn't really enough of the prompt. It's not really the brief. And we kind of had that moment where RuPaul was like, oh, okay. Like, even RuPaul was a little shocked by like the blasé of, no, I did my reveal. My reveal was just this. And it's cool. It's really great. I thought like she was going to like flip something up and there was going to be more wings. I thought there was a lot of things with the concept that you can do, just didn't really hit the mark in that regard. So I feel bad because this is a queen who I want to see more of. It was just not the best first showcasing, and my heart goes out because I know that could be tough, especially when this might be your only opportunity. You only get the first shot to make, you only get one shot to make the first impression, and I think stumbling a little bit like the way she did, can feel a little bit disheartening. But I do think there is plenty there to work with. I do think she's really talented. I do think she's gorgeous. I think just figuring out how to translate what makes her special to Drag Race can really push her farther.
I love it. Kevo, what you got for Megami?
Yeah, if Going Home had been on the table this week, I fear that she might have been. I don't think she should have been. I would have put Burger Finger up for sale. But, if it had been the case, I feel like, to harken back to what Nico was saying earlier and comparing it to Hairspray, when you see that moment, I Know Where I've Been in the movie, like he said, it's through actual streets of Baltimore, and that makes it so powerful. Even on stage, when you're there in person and you're face to face with this physical person, seeing that, like, it's a huge moment. It did not translate as well on Fox on television. It's not quite the medium, and I just think that she needed to put a little bit more into the performance, perhaps an original song. I'm not sure exactly, but I really feel like she's one of the queens this season who has the most potential. I love her stylization both in and out of drag, and I am really glad that next week is a ball, so we can see what her potential is in terms of construction. And so I'm definitely eager for that.
And it's so interesting because I don't know if we've just really attached to Megami or because she has so many interests in common with us that, we really identify and see who she is. But something I really walked away from this episode with is feeling like Maya Iman LePage got no real screen time. Even when she did, they kept it very light. They kept it very general. I feel like they didn't really dive into who this woman was. So I hope that bodes well for her time on the show because we see it in the future. My Magic, I truly love that she's wearing braces. Too many people would be so self-conscious that they would have them removed emergency style, not do the right thing by their physical health to have a better short-term look on TV and worry about it later. And I cannot commend this brave person enough because I bet she's already been made fun of. And what a joke to publicly, have whatever personal feelings you have. I can't change that. And, we all say funny things to each other that we think are funny. But if you're putting it on Twitter, there's kind of something wrong with you. Right?
Well, and that's the hell of being on Drag Race. Like, people are going to make fun of her for that. And it's so that's such a case where we're like, that's completely unfair. She's just trying to take care of her mouth. But like, by the same token, when somebody like Plain Jane maybe miscalculates being fun, shady, and being like the villain, you take a dark amount of shit, and we can see the braces and go like, don't do it then. But then when we see a Morphine or a Jane kind of screw the pooch on trying to bring a little performance to the show, we often will let that really dark interaction slide because they asked for it behaving that way.
Yeah. And speaking of behavior, it's why my messy was the sleeping thing really a bit like I've now watched it twice and I actually can't tell if she just was zoning out. And Nymphia had to be like, "No, baby girl, here's a banana. Get to stepping."
Here's some potassium.
Relatable.
Yeah.
Relatable.
Yeah. And then the messy.
I mean, also the DMV. Haven't we all almost falling asleep at the DMV?
No, I'm so stressed and grossed out and miserable.
No, I'm exhausted.
The air is always wrong. It's either too hot or too cold. I'm never falling asleep. Oh, God, I wish everybody could see my original license plate picture. I look like a serial killer.
Then my messy is just for a queen who I can see the pageant. I can see the stunt queen. I can see who this queen is. It felt like it was Mama's first runway when she dropped her transformation look backstage yesterday. It just
Send everybody a postcard.
Yeah, it just felt very disconnected from her polish. How about you guys? How did you guys feel about Maya Iman LePage?
For me, the magic was again the talent. It just so much energy and her talent show. I said Plasma. It wasn't actually the talent show for Iman or for Maya Iman. It was absolutely the talent show. It was so fun to watch. It harkened to Aja. Is she gonna jump from there? Just what a blast. So high energy. Just there's a lot of promise there. The maybe was the energy and promise of that talent in the talent show maybe just didn't quite carry through the rest of the show. When you do something like handstand up onto the block and like kick down into a split from the block and just give so much performance, I sort of look to see some resonation with that in the actual, in the workroom and in other parts. And it felt a little bit subdued. I hope at some point she's really able to bring that same energy to the rest of the parts of the show. And then my messy was also the runway situation. I think that's first time nerves. You get the critique once and hopefully it doesn't happen again. But if we do see something like that again, where it's just like, you really hugely missed that opportunity, it'll be a kind of a worrisome moment, but I like her.
Do not leave your duster on the floor. A page will be there to collect your duster. For me, the magic, the talent. I've been, talking about how I've been so excited to have a Miami girl on the season who dances, who stunts, who flips, because they go like we have free healthcare and we do not, and I love it. I really enjoy seeing someone come alive and doing something that they love to do, like seeing Maya come alive on stage and being able to do the flips, being able to perform. You can see that's where she feels the most comfortable, because it felt my maybe is she felt a little reserved and a little unsure. And I think I've seen that on Drag Race a lot with the queens who can stunt very well, where they maybe feel a little bit uncomfortable because they're not being able to get to do the things that they feel the most natural in. And I worry a little bit that she's going to get lost because her personality doesn't seem explosive. So really they can only work with what you give them. So she feels a little more, she feels like an everyday kind of person. Like she feels genuinely like, oh, that's someone I know. Like, oh, I'm just using a reference for my own personal thing. Like, oh, it's someone I go to the gym with. Oh, it's like someone I have classes with. Like an everyday kind of person like you see around, and like, having the Hannah Montana alter ego of the diva that flips and stunts and, tricks all over the place. But because she feels real in that regard, it doesn't come off the best in reality television because there's only so much they can do. So that's where I worry. And I think my messy is she comes across a little crunchy in a really good way of, no, there should be people on there who are a little green, who maybe isn't the, to quote Adore Delano, I'm not nail polish, I'm nail polish remover. There's sometimes some endearment and this amazement of seeing someone who isn't the most polished at the start and getting to see them grow and getting to see them really kind of come into their own and figure out, okay, what do I have? What do I work with? What do I change with what I can here? And so that I do like her. I do worry she's going to be someone who's going to get lost a little bit with the much bigger personalities on screen.
I really, really, really feel where you are coming from. it is very interesting. For as much as we were saying we felt that Megami could have given more on the stage, I felt like I got a ton of personality from her in this episode, and I got to know her very well in the backstage. Whereas Maya and, like we were saying earlier, Geneva, two performers who gave us a ton on stage, I don't really feel like I got to know them as well backstage. I don't really feel like they were given as much time or personality growth in these episodes, and I find that very interesting, considering what powerhouses of talent they proved to be. And so that's another one where I'll be curious to see how that endures when there are even more personalities in the room to contend with.
And let's talk about a personality
Yes.
that has such appeal.
Nice.
I really enjoy everything about Nymphia Wind. It's the banana and then, like, walking at them with the banana. Hi, she's delightfully demented in a delicious way. I really appreciate what she's providing. I love that she is a queen, also here to represent her culture. Honestly, the performance was just so goddamn good. That's my magic. It was just so goddamn good. My maybe is, and this is such a stupid maybe, but was it too many bananas for anybody else?
That's my messy. Because it's my messy only because it's the only negative thing I can think of with her.
Well, my messy is I actually have some concerns about the ability for some of this silly to translate at times.
That's kind of my maybe.
I'm so concerned that she's gonna get destroyed in a girl group challenge,
Sure.
or she's gonna get erased in I don't know, the improv challenge. Not because she's not funny, not because I don't think she can sing, but sometimes when a person has that sweet, innocent kind of, hey, it just it doesn't blend in the group well. And I'm worried for you, Nymphia. I want to see you go all the way.
I mean, so yeah, the magic with her is her. Everything about her is magic. She's amazing. Just such natural charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. She's got it all. She's incredible. My maybe was literally, it just says, can she sustain? Like, can this work all of the time? Can she always have charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent? Because again, when you set the bar that high, it's yours to lose. You say, like, will she do well in the improv challenge? She already kind of had a joke bit coming in with the banana peel. So, like, I know she can do humor the minute she walks in the door. Can she do humor when it's in this group challenge where Ross Matthews is directing you and he's annoying and stupid? And, can she sustain? That's really the maybe. And the messy is, it maybe was too much bananas in one episode. If there are more bananas in another, like if there are a lot more bananas, especially soon, I think
she will get a note. Yeah,
she'll get a note, and she'll have one from me, because like the messy will be upgraded from, like, because she basically does that messy is kind of a maybe too, like, because all the banana looks worked. But if she keeps talking about bananas, it starts to be Shangela with the corn. And it just isn't as funny as you think it is. But I suspect she will not have this issue. Fingers crossed. What a really magical creature. I'm really stoked to see her journey.
Before I give my on this queen who's my winner, it literally she's gonna win. I'm like predicting and calling my shot now. I think she's gonna win the season. I'm gonna give a Ross Matthews about the banana. You know that thing when you peel a banana and sometimes you get those stringy things and you're like, oh, I didn't really want those. That was you in the challenge. I really think we're gonna get that. That's.
Hold on.
Hold on. I have to. edit it just slightly. You know the thing when you peel a banana and you keep peeling because you're so excited to get to that banana finally, and then there are these strings kind of attached to it, and you just, oh, that was you. Literally every NTK's leaving. He has left the studio. This queen, I can't sing my praises. I love this queen. I vibe with her so much. This queen is everything, and there's something to be said that on main seasons of Drag Race, we don't get a lot of Asian representation in general. There's at most one or two Asian queens who get to showcase a lot of their heritage and the culture that they grew up in, and they often get done dirty. And so that's my concern is I hope they don't treat this queen poorly, because I see the magic, the potential, the stardom in her. I see this very goofy idiot who is where my concerns with Plain Jane were, I don't know if you're actually committed to this. I think she's fully committed. I do think she's just crazy.
Yeah.
I think she's bananas. And that talent show just it made me very reminiscent to me of on All Stars 4, where Gia Gunn got to do some kabuki, and this really was just like magical and special. And I don't know how everybody fully voted, but I do think Plain Jane did secure her spot. Whether it was going to go to Nymphia or Geneva, I don't know, but I do think Plain Jane definitely affected it, because I think this was one of the best talent show. I think this was my favorite of the night. So my maybe is, I do agree, like for her runway, I love the hair. I love that banana hair. I thought it was so cool. It was a great way to incorporate it. Is she going to get the note of, are you going to do a banana every week? And if that's her aesthetic, let her do her aesthetic. It was the same thing of like on season 10, Dusty Ray Bottoms did the dots once, and Michelle said, "Don't you ever do that on stage again. I'm going to shame that out of you." And now she doesn't. Nico, I think you're muted.
Thank you. Can you imagine being a drag queen on your season of Drag Race, and all of the queens, everybody's watching at home, and you're all on Reddit because you care, and you're all texting each other, and you're all in the Discord and the Slack together, and you're like, oh my God, I am so concerned. Everybody's telling me that I'm talentless and I'm fat, and everybody's comparing me to these other queens who went home first, and they're all calling me the pork chop. And then out of nowhere, here comes Nymphia, and she's like, guys, they just said I did too many bananas. Guys, I'm really worried I did too many bananas. The problem that she has is the silly bit. Was it slightly distracting or not?
She might have done too many bananas.
Is it the bananas? No, it's the world that's wrong. The bananas.
Well, guys,
maybe she's born with it.
Bananas, you get a bunch of bananas.
Yeah.
I'm just so glad that somebody is finally here to unappropriate the Harajuku girls from Gwen Stefani.
And let's not forget Avril Lavigne.
Well, because she's literally here to say this shit is bananas, and it actually isn't problematic Asian representation. So this is a really big year for Gwen Stefani on this channel.
It's a really big year for Gwen Stefani, but it's also a really big year for Nymphia. Wait.
I'm telling you, it's really so exciting. I'm so glad that we're all so on board for her. That's just so nice.
Please go, Kevin.
Also, shout out to Tori Sheehan for her comment. At least Jonah is visually appealing. As always, shout out to her for not even really being super engaged in Drag Race, but enduring through a whole broadcast like this. God bless. I feel in many ways Nymphia is the embodiment of the she is magical. She is a maybe. She's a little bit messy. Can she go all the way? I don't know. I really, really, really hope she goes far. I'd love to see her take it. We've seen artsy queens take it before. I think she's at least lucid which helps a lot of queens who are this avant-garde are a little bit too much space cadets to be aware and to be able to rein it in. Like you said, there's fear of her being overwhelmed in a girl group challenge, but I don't think that she would be like the Yoko Ono, like, let me screech. I don't think that she would be like Lady Gaga while they're all trying to Katy Perry. I think that she can fit in and can give the judges what they're looking for. It's just a matter of choice. Is she going to insist on the bananas, or is she going to tone it back when Michelle is like, these bananas are too green and ripe and I don't like them?
I just really, it's so silly, but now my dream is that it's like a top 10 challenge where each one of you must do a look by one of your fellow queens, but in your own style. And Geneva just does plantanos. Like, that is like my total dream now.
Twinsies challenge. Yes.
That would be so silly and fun, just because I think one of the things I love that Nymphia tried to access is something that we all sort of recognize as a silly, common thing. Yeah, there are cultures with bananas, but like, Gwen Stefani literally had one of the most sellingest singles of all time, almost solely on the strength of Pharrell being like, "No, spell bananas. See what
That's a
what
good
happens."
idea.
Oh, that worked really well. I'm gonna spell ice cream and everything for the rest of my career. So, big fan of everything we got to talk about this episode. I want to open the floor to some final thoughts before we make our way on over to Brooklyn Fierce's Drag Race. I've created a whole new identity for her because she's not from Brooklyn. So you got to get the Brooklyn Heights thing out of there. You can't be Canada's drag queen with a New York name. That's
Well, based on her finale look, she's Cynthia Heights now. So
all right. So I really do look forward to all of these queens meeting. I do not look forward to some of these queens meeting. I'm, I guess, excited to see what happens with a mandatory meeting, but end of the day, this is going to be a fun season. Is it going to be 15? No, but you are 15 going on 16, and I'll take care of you.
That was great. I loved that.
that was surreal.
More and more, I'm just really feeling how different this season is, and that we are kind of in a really new phase for Drag Race. I think production is happening differently. I think the queens are taking care of each other differently. I just think we're seeing a big shift, and I think this particular version of the split premiere is pretty reflective of that in a really good way. And I feel really lucky that we got to have very specialized focused time with each girl. Because a thing that happened that has not happened to me since I started watching Drag Race, I remember who everybody is. Usually I'm forgetting somebody. I remember last season, I thought she was so funny and I love her so much, but I kept forgetting who Princess Poppy was because she didn't quite stand out.
Yeah.
And there were a couple other queens that I was just like, I'm not sure if that's the same person. I'm not sure who I'm looking at. 11, 12, and 13 were horrible for that for me. But I can look at every single one of the queens, know exactly who they are, remember a moment with them. And I just think that things are happening differently this time around. And I know a lot of people will always go like, I miss classic Drag Race. I miss when everybody was as cunty as Roxy Andrews, who had a great Roscoe's viewing party, by the way, for the first episode of the premiere. I haven't seen who does the second one yet, but I'm very excited to. And, I'm somebody who, even if I miss the old stuff, I'm always excited to see how they do the new stuff. So this is going to be fun. It's going to be really fun to see how the queens really producing themselves outside of the show on social media is going to, and being that united front, how that's going to hopefully make a really positive change. And also it seems like production is also trying to be more positive. So I'm hoping to see that as well.
Jonah, any last thoughts on Sweet 16?
I think we're going to be in an era where the bar of Drag Race for what we expect has been risen from past seasons, but it's going to come out negative, but plateau in a way where we're kind of going to get a little bit more familial and expected with how things are going to start out. And then once they shake up a few things that they try to do every season, it's going to bring us somewhere different and better. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, is how this season's going to kind of shake up and really innovate on the format.
I really want to say, I'm so glad you brought up Roxy for a second, because I'm starting to really think about how many of these queens are actually younger queens who got into it through things like Drag Race. And I wonder how many of these queens at some point in their life were in an audience screaming, "Roxy, be bad at read you, wrote you! Be bad at read you, wrote you!" Like, from the audience. And like, how many of these queens grew up thinking like, wow, Detox is, the reason I'm getting into drag? Like, it's really significant because of the age.
10 years ago, Plasma was 14. And there were already a bunch of seasons of Drag Race out.
Becky G was 12 when this show debuted. Thank you very much, RuPaul.
Yeah, I don't like to think about that.
Well, no, it's just that RuPaul was like, you were not yet born. And Becky G is like, no, RuPaul. I have been in many successful Power Rangers movies. Thank you.
No,
you
just
do not.
one.
Kevy, do you have any female thoughts on this premiere episode? Though it kind of really wasn't a premiere, but is this still a premiere episode? Like, we could have an entire episode about that. Yeah. Are these 2-part premieres both premieres?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, kind of. It has to be, otherwise that just makes this episode even more disappointing. Although the best part of this episode, honestly, after the surprising choice of Queen Choice Awards for the theming of this talent show, we were talking about who are they possibly going to get to host the Queen Choice Awards?
Because it's Teen Choice. It's a Nickelodeon thing. So for anybody who didn't immediately pick up on that, it's another Viacom property, but it's not MTV. So I immediately was like, well, who is the Derek Barry of Nickelodeon? And God bless Kevo.
I immediately blurt out, it's just going to be Derek Barry again in a different outfit. And then lo and behold, it's just Derek Barry again in a different outfit. Meanwhile, Jonah makes the excellent point of, we haven't seen anyone get slimed at some point during the talent show. And then at the very end, Derek herself makes the same point, to be covered in pink slime. And then, God, I hope unscriptedly, falls over as, look at Nymphia Wind in the background. Loving it. Becky G just trying not to laugh.
The only thing I'll say that could have made it better is if it had been the Katy Perry box opening and it just sprays in your face type of situation. The fact that they were right behind her, and
I think the thing that surprised me the most about Barrick Derry getting to do a second one of these in a row is honestly sort of like, Britney Spears isn't who I think of for Teen Choice Awards.
Right. That's why I was like, who's the Nickelodeon drag queen?
She's also not who I think about when I think about MTV.
No, it's Carmen Electra.
Yeah,
RuPaul.
she's on like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So
when she used to go to those, it was when she was in parachute pants and a crop top, and she would just be like, I just like drinking Pepsi, and I hope you guys like my new song. And it was Oops, I Did It Again.
Truly.
So Derek Barry is the thing that makes this, Derek Barry is the unifying factor that makes this a full season premiere from the 2 parts.
Right.
It's Derek Barry's episode.
It's
Yep.
Derek Barry, bitch.
Welcome to
Yeah.
Derek's Drag Race.
Oh my god. That's like Drag Race WeHo. It's a very different show. So let's jump over to a very different show with a very different host.
We did 2 hours on the Drag Race premiere, and I'm not sure if we have a half hour for Canada's finale. This is what we were concerned about when we said maybe you should let Canada finish before you start America.
That's the biggest problem here. Like
Yeah.
the biggest problem here is that Melinda not being in the finale fucking sucked all the wind out of the sails on
It
what could
did.
have been like, it's not like it's a reality show, right? And that's like the thing. You don't get to control who's in the finale story-wise. There are certain ebbs and flows that kind of have to be the nature of the program. But fuck that moment where Nira hears Venus, Aurora, mama, Aurora. You two will be dancing for the crown. And you can literally see Nira go. And you just want to be like, sweetheart, I know you didn't get to see the edit they gave you, because I'm sure you are an incredibly talented queen, but the edit they gave you really painted this. This is a Degas. There are ponies. There are ballerinas. This was painted.
Yeah. I mean, the really tough thing was I thought Nira had such a good verse. And I really she was giving me Lemon. Like, I think she
was giving me I Will Make You Cry by Nelly Furtado. Which
well, there's that
is
too.
Literal speed singing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, I think she has a really good mix of ability to rap, basically, but it's a little bit song, speak, sing, and dance. And that, for me, I'm like, now I want to go to a Near Enough show. But the track record just wasn't there for her to win at all. And that's a tough position to be in. I don't know that we would have fared better with Melinda in terms of feeling like track record would really make her the 4th contender. It ultimately felt like it really was Venus and Aurora's to lose.
Yeah.
And Denim is so avant-garde that if she were the dark horse other person in the top 2, it wouldn't be the world's biggest surprise. It would have been insane if Nira had been in the top 2. And it's only weird because she just had such a good night. And that's kind of the other part of the reality TV formula. Melinda, to us, the viewer, really makes sense to be in the top 4 after just having such strong presence on the show. And for the producers who lived through the whole thing, they give it to Nira, and then Nira has this amazing night, but there's just no way she makes sense for that top 2.
Yeah.
So I, go roll a clip, insert clip here of me talking about how I thought that this was going to be the top 2. It was there to lose. I think they were people who performed the best throughout the season. Not to say that I didn't enjoy what Denim brought or what Nira brought. Just specifically talk about, interact with what we were talking about before. I thought that Nira's verse, she can clearly speed rap and get a lot of words out, but there wasn't a lot of peaks and valleys to her performance. When I think of Lemon and I think of Sorry Not Sorry, or I think of Come Through, and the way that Lemon performs, it gives you those moments where it goes up and down. Nira's was just at that 100 the entire time, so I don't know if we had a chance to really breathe and kind of really hinge or think about what she was saying.
Well, I also if you're gonna speed rap and I'm a songwriter, I do these things, and if you give somebody a song where it's just a lot of words really quick, the words all need to matter. And one of the big things that I think Nira fell victim to, as did a couple of these girls, stop fucking singing about being bottoms and tops.
Hold on, we got a grade on a curve here. Everyone's lyrics sucked.
It was,
the song was terrible.
Yeah, the song was terrible.
Venus made it great. It's Venus.
Okay, so Yes, Venus did exactly what she needed to do, and I think Venus had the best.
Had the best, yeah.
I would have to confirm this for myself to actually really listen. Someone talked about that Venus's track was slightly different than the other ones.
Yeah, Venus had a heavier bass on the verse to punctuate its Venus to separate the count, because she was clearly doing something a little bit against the count at times to give the song a different vibe. And so to fix the pentameter whammeter, they gave her a little bit different tweaking on the beat. It was a definite, but the bass, the bass of the track was unchanged. Like, it was still the same chords, the same production. It was just the bass was a little bit thumpier for her.
Yeah, and I really, my congratulations to both Nira and Denim. I think they really put up a fight. I thought they did well. I can just kind of tell that it was going to be between Aurora and Venus, and I don't think either one of them had a strong enough finale for them to really kind of shake the other two from their position where they stood in the competition. Something else to really kind of note about this competition is this finale was very young. They were very young, and I hesitate to really call them green, but you can kind of tell the way that this finale went that the lack of years of doing this showcased in the way these performances came out, and not in a bad way. It was just odd because this didn't really feel like the best finale. I was really happy with this top two. Nobody really, if anybody won, I wasn't going to be upset about it, truly. But I can't say that I wasn't rooting for Aurora just a little bit more than Venus. I look at Venus throughout the entire season, and Venus really, I think, did really well that first episode, and really and then going into that second challenge, that improv challenge, really showcasing that no, she can be funny, she can throw down. But I look throughout the entire season, and I don't look at Venus's highs the same way I look at everybody else's highs. Venus never did bad, but I think of Aurora in those performances challenge. I think of Nira in the lip syncing. I think of Denim in the makeover. I think of Melinda in Snatch Game. I think of those highs, and I'm like, these people were so above and beyond everybody else. I can't, they have to win. But Venus never really had that challenge, and I feel so bad that she didn't get the A grade in a lot of episodes. She definitely got B's and B pluses, and even arguably an A minus, but she never had that A plus, and it feels weird to not showcase your winner that way.
And I feel like part of where I need to really interact with what you're saying is it wasn't just that they made this the Aurora and Venus show. First of all, the entire background loop for this episode has been 4 tracks from Loose by Nelly Furtado, reimagined as for orchestra via John Philip Shinali via me. So what's up? But
it's a Shinali.
It's an original Shinali. But the only way you can do that joke and not get canceled. The thing that I can't help but think about is anybody who knows Try by Nelly Furtado. It's an incredibly dramatic song off of an unbelievably dramatic album. And it is a very adult song. It's very mature. And it's this slow balladic piece that is very much about a youth singing about a wisdom outside of her years. Like, the only reason that Nelly Furtado is capable of selling it, not because she's not a brilliant person, but because the director for that video is the famous Sophie Muller, who did, countless important music videos and was able to say, look, I'm not going to let the world treat you like a 25-year-old. There was no chance that Denim or Nira in those outfits were going to sell Try by Nelly Furtado. So if either one of them had snuck into the finale, it was going to be, I mean, I'm not saying this is true of Denim, but I can only imagine her being like, this is you, baby. This is and just being so silly with it, because what is she going to do? She's going to do Angela Bassett reading Nelly Furtado's Try. So
Angela Bassett all on the lips.
Oh my god. And that is where I do think Venus did kind of beat Aurora in the lip sync just a little bit. Venus gave looking exactly like Nelly Furtado / Idina Menzel / Kamara from UK. They are the same very hot woman. It's very cool. But this was sort of like where we joked that Saphira being given Break My Soul. Yeah, you asked Nelly Furtado, the drag queen, to sing Try.
What I was going to say is I listen, not to say it was rigged in Venus's favor, because again, Venus, I think, had one of the best nights. She looked gorgeous, and had a really overall positive season throughout.
I'm saying it
And
was.
it felt like it was Aurora's all the way up to the announcement. Like, I thought it was just as possible they were going to say Aurora's name in that final moment.
Yeah.
But that song choice was a very specific and deliberate choice, because if it was a dance number, and granted, they're in these beautiful gowns and they can't really, dance it unless they let them change, but that defeats the purpose of coronation. Aurora would have, not that Venus can't dance or perform, but Aurora would have swept her.
If they had done Forza, which had been the World Cup song, if they had done Promiscuous or Man Eater, I can't stop naming songs that, it would have been not Venus's game to win.
Well, and the fact of the matter is, we, as I have brought up before, like, it's not necessarily who wins the lip sync at that moment. And when you look at the numbers, Aurora had one more win over Venus, but she was in the bottom or low twice, where Venus was never in the bottom or low. She was either safe, high, or she won. She only won once, but you're kind of getting into really the weird numbers and judgment game that happens around Drag Race that we all just can't get too focused on, because we'll never know, and the criteria changes constantly.
A win in week 4 is worth different than a win in week 6, but a bottom in week 9 is still a bottom in week 10.
Yeah,
If she's a 2 she's a 10 and 2.
And I mean, Aurora was low in episode 8, in the penultimate episode. So, it is what it is. I thought they were both phenomenal. It did feel like it was between the two of them. And yes. I felt it was a strong finale in that regard. It's season 4. Give them a fucking live show. Give them.
No, do not take this from me.
Why? What's happening?
Goddamn nice that I have these finales that I get to just digest like an All-Stars finale. Don't take this. Give them a bonus concert another time.
Why can't we do this in a theater? Why don't you like it?
There's something so nice about, it's like a calm, quiet little finale, and then I can go about my day.
No, I don't want that for you. I want. You don't like some spectacle?
Then you deal with him.
I want the spectacle. I mean, I'll take a spectacle. I'll take all of the queens getting ranked or something. I don't know. But like, there is something that is just so nice about seeing the same way they're judged all season long.
Yeah.
Be how they win.
However, you do very frequently at the end of these foreign finales go, it's over. That was it.
I mean,
it was just a regular episode, and then they were crowned. That's it.
I just feel like they should go to Vancouver or Toronto, which have some fantastic theaters.
A Hard Rock Live, if nothing else.
Syria in Ottawa or Manitoba or whatever. But I want. So here's what I want. Canada, it's time to upgrade and give us a show for the finale. US. It's time to give us literally a live finale, literally MTV Movie Awards style. It's happening that night. I want to see it. No re-records. No, the announcement is I really want to see a winner's real reaction. It actually shocks me that it didn't happen for Sasha Colby's season, specifically because they put together such a big show, and and they were on MTV, which just can do those things. Anyway, I thought for season 4 we might be moving in that direction. Nico, I get what you're saying. And I actually think there's something very earnestly kind about that, about wanting to see them get that kind of edit. And I think it's totally valid to like that. I do love a show. I also think everybody looks better when they return for a stage finale. Like everybody glows up real hard for that. And when it's a studio finale, a little more pedestrian.
That's the only point that is maybe selling me on that, because I do love that for the queens and giving them a bit more room and space to shine in a finale. Broom. But I don't think you've sold me on that concept completely. What you did sell me on is the necessity of a fourth queen this season among the finalists. Another thing that sold me on it was, again, it's 4, and you know how obsessed I am with 4, can't C4 and 4, D4. But I was like, why do we even still need 4 queens? That's something that was added by certain reality show competitions when there really were 4 queens that necessitated having a 4th and not just doing traditional first, second, third. This to me felt like a season where we should have just done top 3.
I agree.
I see your point, though, where I think if it had been the top 3 queens who are the top 3 queens, it would have been a lot more obvious who the top 2 were.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been Denim's game, but especially with who she was up against, it probably wasn't going to be. And so I think it needed a 4th queen to have it be a little bit less obvious who it's going to be the top 2, because it really can't just be a top 2. It needs to be the top 3.
I don't want to go full parallax, but I kind of have to for a second.
Burn it down.
I have to burn the whole world to the ground, right? This season had something, though, that I feel we don't talk about enough in reality shows, because we don't see reality shows as the return complexes that something like a TV show or a comic book is. And
Beavers.
Beaver. Oh, yeah. Well, kind of. One of the things that this season doesn't have for me is I don't know how many of these queens are going to have longevity within the franchise. Not that they're not amazing, but Denim on a Versus the World is going to go home first. Not because she's not amazing, but because what Denim does is this beautiful form of art that isn't going to play on RuPaul's stage the same way Pangina does. And Denim is going to, for all the ways she is incredible, not thrive. And I fear, with the exception of maybe Aurora, this is a season of girls that are going to do really well at the Calgary equivalent of DragCon. But what I worry about here is that this was an incredible season that, by virtue of how it ended, this miniseries isn't going to be the thing that the next writer of the ongoing picks up. And I worry that some of these incredible queens, just by virtue of where this sits, they're just not going to see the career with World of Wonder I would really love for each one of them.
Yeah.
So not to be like, I'm the fear monster, but a little bit, that's what parallax is.
No, I mean, I think that's a valid concern. And I think it also speaks to, I don't think this was a great produced season. I don't think they had great challenges. I don't think a lot of the queens got to show what makes them great. Melinda is a perfect example of, if she had not had the breakdown and had the story of overcoming that and doing successfully, she would probably be not super remembered. And when I think about Kitten Caboodle and Amy Yonsei, really talented queens, but they weren't really given great challenges to shine in. And so, I mean, I think you do make a point. Some of that is just kind of what happens when you get past the shine of those first couple seasons where it's all new, and you settle into who your judges are, and you settle into the patterns and routines of you're gonna have Snatch Game, you're gonna have an improv challenge, whatever What's that?
It's a season 7.
Yeah, exactly. Just when the pattern is established and then you don't produce the best content for the girls, you do definitely run that risk of like, how are they going to stand out in this sea of queens from other seasons, some of whom got really memorable moments just by virtue of the fact that a producer was on their game writing a really funny improv challenge for them.
Jonah, what you got to ride us out of this incredible Canadian season with a very likable winner? No complaints. It's just, you can't give the win to Melinda because she is the internet's favorite. It's not that kind of vote, honey.
Well, they did not know that going into this.
They sure did not.
If they really leaned into the star power of Melinda, it would have been a different season.
Yeah.
Honestly, even if they leaned into the star power of someone like Kate and Caboodle, I think, or Kiki Ko, I think.
I was gonna say Kiki Ko in an instant. Yeah.
I think who also had one of the best
Return
finale
looks.
You can
Yes.
see her there.
Yeah.
She's the red evil version to Giselle's gorgeous white reindeer look. Who, by the way, Giselle looks stunning.
Yeah.
Good for her.
I just feel terrible that I had forgotten Giselle was the last winner because the versus the world kind of
it's been a
disrupts
while.
that vibe.
Well, and to Giselle's credit and lack of credit, this look is amazing. What were you wearing for that photo shoot, my love?
No.
This made me do an impression of Shakira from Zootopia. I'm Gazelle.
She looks. She looks
Try
like Courtney
everything.
Welcome to Dragtopia.
Courtney knows how to do sexy.
You better not be a cuntitopia when I get there.
Oh my god, can you imagine Caught in the Moose?
Caught in the Moose.
Oh, I came up with a really good drag name earlier and I lost it. Sorry.
You'll think about it. It'll come to you. It'll come to you. So I think I'll go on record and say this is probably my favorite season of Canada. I really do think this had the best mix of the Canadian cast, which I think Canada always has a strong cast, and I think that's always to their credit. Like the Canadian girls really just are these infectiously charismatic people that really bring this amazing energy on screen and on stage. But this season also had, I think, I loved the Golden Beaver. I thought it was so dumb. It was so stupid, but it was so correct. I thought the judging for the most part was really correct. I don't really think I disagreed with anything that the judges had to say or wins. So and that's always my biggest complaint about Canada is, I love Canada season 1. I love that cast so much. But Canada season 1 is really held back by the weird judging and production decisions. And I think this season they really kind of figured out what to do and what makes things work best. So I don't know if it finished the strongest, but I think overall it's probably my favorite Canadian season.
I love that. This has been a really exciting cycle for the foreign series. I feel like, and not foreign, I should say international. They're foreign to me because they're not the US produced season. So they're produced, outside of the US, but they are no less legitimate. Their drag is such incredible, important art, and it helps shape the way the US series reacts. So each one of these international series, as they should rightfully be known, brings something beautiful to the table, and seeing the number of these unbelievable queens that are appearing in the versus the worlds, it's really exciting, and I can't wait. Now we have I think just the US for a hot minute till it was UK versus the world season 2,
Just
and then
got announced.
we'll have an all-stars. We got some exciting people in UK versus the world. I am very excited about May. I've kind of forgotten the other US queen that's
It's
in it.
Scarlet Envy.
Scarlet, thank you.
My other favorite.
And then I know that I think it's Hannah from Down Under
Anaconda. Yep.
is, in this as well. So I mean, I have a Down Under queen. I'm fucking done. That's it. I don't know who I'm voting for. Sorry about it, the US queens. But Down Under is my queens. I love those queens so much. They're just unbridled urinal monsters, and I really love that about them. But it's been a really great time celebrating the international seasons as we waited for the US season to come back. And the thing I'm the most excited about is, hey, US, you got some big fucking shoes to fill, and they are not all in your US sizes. So you guys need to check that little chart that comes on the sneaker. because
And it's rarely accurate.
it's literally never been accurate once when I have tried to buy sneakers on eBay. So I
got them
really
big feet. So.
I got big fucking feet. So I am really excited to see where this season goes of US as a result of the incredible season of Canada we just had, and the number of things that we saw, like the stacked glasses, or the there was the Jennifer Coolidge impression being in this episode after there were so many Coolidges, and we just said never do a Coolidge again. This really was exciting. I'll miss you for the couple of months, Canada, but I look forward to seeing Brooke. I, of course, look forward to seeing Tracy, who makes me laugh with how incredibly that lady that knows drag queens, they write all of her jokes. And I think Brad would look really great on a leash. So I'm really excited to see Canada come back. Does anybody have any favorite moments they want to mention from today's episode before we do our sign-offs?
I just want to say we actually could have not done any of this and just talked about Nelly Furtado for 2 hours and 15 minutes. So you're welcome, everybody, because we told you we were going to talk about Drag Race, and then we did. But let me tell you something. Nelly Furtado is a queen with a decades-long career who has taken to plastic surgery and Ozempic like a fish to the most beautiful crystal clear water,
like Kelly Clarkson to Ozempic and plastic surgery.
Truly. And for all the shade of that joke, she does look really beautiful now. Been a very fast transition to this new look for her, which always I just get a little concerned because she's so talented.
And let's pick on me for being addicted to energy drinks and weed for a second. We're not saying anything that isn't like, we all have the ways that we present ourselves to the world.
Yeah,
truly.
We all have the ways that we, manifest. Certainly nobody is saying anything about the woman that I spent hours working on a tribute cycle of songs for.
All I'm saying is, were you to Google Nelly Furtado 2020 or 2021 and then compare that with Nelly Furtado 2023, wow,
Mama looks great.
But the thing that I really care about is when we get new music, maybe not with Justin Timberlake and Timbaland, please, Nelly, please, Nelly.
Yeah, learn a lesson from them not tipping at that restaurant. That was a sign.
That story. I love that fucking story. No, Nelly Furtado is one of my personal icons.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I don't just love her music. I love her music. I actually have a drumstick from one of her concerts over on Kevo's workstation. I've been lucky enough to see her multiple times in concert. I was against the barricade. She's touched me. So I used to, when I was like 13 years old, I would literally tell people that I wanted to have children with Nelly Furtado. Like I didn't want to do anything weird. I wanted her to be the mother of my children. And so then when I found out she had children, I was like, oh, and it broke my heart for a minute.
No one else has ever been so like a bird. Just you can't take that from her.
You can't. No, I mean, ornithologists everywhere are constantly like, but is it a Nelly Furtado?
And you know what? Genuinely one of my favorite celebrity guest appearances on all of Roswell, the original WB version.
Yep,
we are hunting down our best friend's killer. But let's take a moment to jam out to this free campus Nelly Furtado concert.
Yep. Almost as good as when whenever Pete Wentz shows up on One Tree Hill.
Oh my god. Oh, can we do just several broadcasts together about One Tree Hill?
Yes, we sure can.
Oh, awesome. We'll talk about it this week.
Just to say goodbye to the beautiful Nelly Furtado for 1 second. It was just really great to see an artist whose career started when I was 13 years old, who helped me through some tough times and kind of helped me figure out how to be a songwriter. It was just great seeing her get respect from a medium and an industry that I aspire to be in, kind of partially as a result of her encouragement to just be yourself and, write your own songs.
Also, what a fantastic coach. Had some of the best advice of anybody. I'll give him credit.
Songs for them. That was great.
Leland can turn a song out and has some very good direction for just so you know, this is how I'm making the song. So you might not want to be weird because I can't fix that for you, you fucking crazy person. Weird. But Nelly had some serious ideas about like, say it like this, it'll be good.
Okay,
and she was
well,
right every time.
She was like, "This is how I think you should say cunt." That
Yeah,
is
exactly.
That is what happened.
Yeah, and she was absolutely right. More, it's her and Nicki Minaj to give some of the best musical advice in the history of the show.
So she said, "Say it right," and until we come back,
That's
to
the
say
name of
it
this
right.
show.
Jojo, where can everybody find you? We can't wait to have you back. You are so amazing. We have been such a big fan of yours, and this past weekend has just been so great. So where can everybody find you online?
You can find me being so great online over anywhere. You can find socials at Peak Jonah. That's Peak.
Kevo, when you are not producing this show, you are making the board about producing this show. I know you got some real exciting tidbits on it. What are you most excited about? And where can everybody find you on the interwebs?
Oh my gosh, right. I have updated our coming soon board. And so let's zoom over there. Because, yeah, we made a pretty strong plan of coverage to get through the holiday, which was a really fun season for us. And now here we are on the other side of it. We have some really awesome stuff that we are going to be covering in the new year. We're looking forward to covering Echo next week. We have even more Monsterverse still coming with another movie still coming.
And on the subject of that Echo thing, there are a lot of sources confirming it now. So if that casting rumor that hit late last night is true, Echo might have done some real cool things for the future of the Marvel Universe.
I don't even know what you're talking about, so that's exciting.
I don't either. I'm stoked to discover.
If a certain Deborah and Eldon really are once again engaged, I am...
You heard it here on Nexus Show first. Deborah and Eldon are engaged. Let's run that story. Hit up TMZ.
So very excited. I am so in on this board. This board is
Congratulations to Deborah Messing and Elden Ring.
I don't even know who that is, but I love it.
It's so Elden Ring is actually a guy named Skyrim.
I think you guys are thinking of Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, yeah.
Neverwinter Nights are what I would like to stop happening because it's cold. I want to go home. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I'm going home. I'm going home. You can't go home. I'm going home.
Kevo, where can everybody find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on the interwebs at Kevoreally. That's KEVOREALLY. Teak, you're going home, but where can people find you while you're there?
You can't. I'm hiding. But if you were to look, you would look at TK Elemental, and if there's a rock there, don't look under that rock, idiot. Nico, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me making banging tracks all over the internet at Nico Action. That's this awesome background loop, which I'm going to throw up on my SoundCloud and YouTube. I recently relaunched my music channel over at Nico Action here on YouTube. So you can find all of my amazing music over there in the near future, because it turns out getting people outside of the Google ecosystem is... So very excited to get all of that music up here on YouTube. Can't wait to share it all with you. That's one more time, NICOACTION. And until next time, I got 6 things for you all to do. Like, subscribe, and comment. Okay, that's done. 3 more things. Number 1, stay safe. Really important. Some crazy weather out there. It's a twista kind of wins. Definitely, hunker down your old ladies on bicycles. Number 2, I want you guys to stay safe. No, I already did. That's number 1. Be brave, evolve daily. Great. I saw Kevo have the symbol that says we're good to go. So I'm ready to wrap this episode up. Let's get out of here.
You're a nut, and we love you.